Welcome to the This Mum Loves Tech podcast, the go-to show for female business owners who want to simplify tech and get the support they need to grow their online businesses with confidence. I'm Nicola Walsh, your podcast host. I'm also a mum to two cheeky boys and I love tech, so you don't have to. I'm here to share actionable tips, tools and strategies that will help you streamline your business and make the tech work for you. So whether you're watching after the kids have gone to bed or listening while on the school run, let's dive into today's episode and make tech that little bit easier. Hello and welcome to another edition of This Mum Loves Tech, and I'm very excited because today I have Toni Addinall, who is an accountability strategist, coming to talk to us. Because if you listened to the podcast episode earlier in the month, we had Jen on talking about our goals, and I really wanted to then get Toni on because she can help us achieve them. So Toni, hello.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
So yeah, but before we get into like what is an accountability strategist, tell us a little bit about you and how you got into what you do, and then we'll talk a bit more about the goals and achieving them.
Okay, so my career started on the graduate scheme at the Royal Bank of Scotland, and about a year into that I found myself in a project management position, which I just absolutely loved. And there was something in project management that just spoke to like my natural skill set, like seeing a plan, identifying next steps. There's a lot of engaging with other people when you're managing projects. It's about the support that you get from other people, and you need other people to do things. And so learning to build great relationships, have good conversations, know what you need to do to get things done. Sometimes when it's like, this has just happened and I need to get this done like today, and learning those skills of influencing people. So that project management was just something that came really naturally to me and something that I absolutely loved. And then I had a short time off when Ben was born on maternity leave, and then I came back and ended up working in a learning and development role, which was we were supporting team managers with becoming better managers, both in terms of leadership skills and in terms of running their business. So team managers, their teams are like a mini business. And so it was all about supporting them and identifying ways of improvement. And so there was an element of project management that ran through that as well. And so my L&D career expanded. I did pretty much every role that there is to do in learning and development, design, delivery, consultancy, coaching. And it was 2020 going into 2021 when I had one of the most I can't think of the word's gone out of my head, most fulfilling years of my career, when I was coaching managers through their leadership apprenticeship. And it just got something going in my mind in terms of that coaching, that continuous improvement and working one-to-one with people. And it took a couple of years, but then in August 2024, I quit full-time work, which I never thought I would do. I always thought I'd be in employment to start my business. And I now build my business around working with business owners to help them deliver what it is that they want to deliver in their business. That whole project management, getting things done, taking action and delivering the goals and the results that they want for their business.
Amazing. And I think that's such a brave thing to do, to leave full-time employment and just go for it. So amazing that you've done that. And to do that, like, because obviously I started when it was the end of maternity leave, so there was that kind of not natural but more obvious switch, whereas you'd gone back and then you made that switch for you, that it wasn't for somebody else, which I think is really cool. And because like there wasn't it was because you had this passion so much for this, and not to say anyone else who starts businesses at other times don't, but know sometimes there's natural reasons why people make that switch, but yours was like you saw this kind of calling, as it were, that you could, a way you could help people further than what your employment was allowing you to do.
Yeah, that's exactly how it felt. And I can still remember and visualize and feel the moment when that thought came into my head that I need to leave and do this myself. But I'm at the stage of my life as well that my son is 19 now. And so he no longer needs me in the same way. So my career gave me stability. It gave me financial security. It gave me everything that I always wanted to give Ben the best life that I could, and to give him the life that I wanted my child to have. And so there was a couple of years ago when I realized that I'd achieved that goal. And that is just such an incredible feeling. And I was incredibly fortunate. I've spoken to many people since I've been self-employed who have been through horrendous experiences, pre-maternity, coming back from maternity leave. I was incredibly fortunate. My career gave me a perfect balance, really. When I look back, I couldn't be more grateful. And it gave me everything that I needed to give Ben everything that I wanted. And then I realized I've achieved my goal now. Now what do I do? So you're absolutely right. This is for me now. This is sort of the, okay, I'm not doing this because Ben is ultimately my goal anymore. I'm doing this a little bit for me because it is a calling and it's a passion. But what I'm really passionate about is I know how that feels to achieve that goal, to give your child, your children, the life that you want and have that life as a family. And so many people in the online world have moved into the online world and starting businesses because they haven't been able to get that from employment. So if I can help them achieve those goals, that's now my why, that's now my purpose. And yeah, that just fills me with joy knowing that that's something that I can help people achieve.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And that, like, yeah, how amazing to have done that goal and now get to think of another one, because so many people are just still striving for that first one. And I think that goes really nicely into like how to achieve your goals, and that's what you do with being an accountability strategist. So tell us a bit more about like what that is and how you help people.
So I struggle with the title, really, because I think there's a thought around what accountability is. So I think if it's okay with you, Nicola, I'll talk about what I think people think accountability is, and then I'll lead into sort of why I think it's different and how I do what I do.
Yeah.
So I think there's a couple of things with accountability. One, we're hearing it a lot at the moment in the news, in terms of people needing to take accountability for their actions. So there's this sense of it being sort of like a punishment, like something to be ashamed of, like it's one of those things where we just have to go, right, okay, I'm taking accountability for bad behavior. And then there's accountability in terms of quite simplistic. I just need like an accountability buddy to help me do that thing that I've been putting off. And I think that keeps it far too simple for the accountability that I like to talk about and how I like to work with my clients. So the first thing around accountability being a punishment, it absolutely isn't. A key part of accountability for me is helping my clients understand what it is that's got in the way. So what is it that's stopping you? So if there's something that you're continually putting off, like, let's understand that, let's break it down. And that's where I love to bring in sort of my coaching experience. Let's break that down. What's the limiting beliefs? What's the barrier? What's getting in the way? So it's not about blame and it's not about excuses. It's about understanding the underlying reasons and what's really stopping you. And then the other side, in terms of accountability, just being, oh, I'm going to join a free accountability call and it's just about me doing the thing that's been on my to-do list for 3 weeks. Again, that for me isn't the accountability that I like to give, because when you've got an accountability buddy or you're doing it in that instance, there's no question or challenge as to whether that action actually needs to happen. So do you need to even be doing it in the first place? because there's an alignment. The actions that we take need to align to our goals. And many people, and I know you mentioned it, your previous podcast was talking around goal setting. There's ways of setting goals and vision boards and doing all of that stuff. What we then need to do is, how do we take the action to achieve those goals? And that's how I deliver accountability. It's aligned with, okay, what do you want to achieve? What does that look like? What does it feel like? How do we achieve that? And then it's the structure and the systems and the support. And the support is the bit that I love to give to help people take that action to achieve their goal.
Yeah. And I think that is the key, isn't it? Like, and there is that two sides to it, which is why I'm so glad I've got you coming on so soon after Jen's podcast, because she was talking about setting realistic goals and making them align with your business values and connecting it with your family and your life and visioning it all together, because it's not separate, they are one, and all that kind of stuff. And then this is, like you said, taking it to that next level of, now you've set them, you need to keep on top of them. And I think this time of year, you know, the Christmas high has faded, we're into the new year, potentially the pennies are starting to get a bit strapped because it's January, can be sometimes quieter, so sometimes those goals can start fading, or people, and this is the point where people really need to, like you said, evaluate, how can you still achieve them, how can we stay on top of them, and are they all still aligned, you know? And it's that constant reflection, isn't it, of making sure that you are not just setting aside time to do them, but time to reflect on them.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, we're coming to the end of Jan now, and people may have set themselves some big goals, some risky goals, some exciting goals, and they're coming to the end of the first month, and it's like, okay, I feel like I'm not going to achieve that goal, so I'm just going to move it across to February, or I'm just going to beat myself up because I've not achieved it, and then I'll wait till February 1st and start again. And it's hard sometimes to do that reflective piece, especially when we're working on our own. And I think sometimes females also are very hard on themselves, and we'll beat ourselves up for what we've not done. Whereas this is a perfect time in the month to identify what's worked and actually celebrate some of that, because there's bound to be things that you've done that has moved you closer towards that goal. And it's identifying what they are, and then identifying what needs to change and what needs to be done differently. And that's not with blame and accountability in the sense that we hear about it in the news. That's with looking at the evidence. What does your number say? It's taking the emotion out of it, and it's being really challenging with yourself. Like, did I do enough? Like, was I clear on the actions that I needed to take to achieve that goal? And did I take them? If I'd committed to having 10 conversations a day, did I do 10 conversations a day? And if I found that actually I've only had 5 conversations a week, like, what stopped me from doing that? How can I learn from that? What do I need to do differently? Because otherwise, come this time in February, you'll be in the same position again, because you just keep moving the goal over, and the goal stays the same, but it's the actions and the energy that you're bringing to it. And that's something that I find really important as well, is that it's thinking about identifying the actions and also thinking about how you best take that action. So, for example, going back to having 5 conversations a day in terms of lead generation, if you know that your best time for having conversations and engaging people and having DMs, getting into DMs, is at 10 o'clock in the morning, then block that time out in your calendar every day for 10 o'clock in the morning. Don't leave it until the end of the day, when you've done all your client delivery, when you've dealt with your emails, when your tech's gone a bit iffy and you've had a bit of an argument with your with your funnel. Like, don't leave it until sort of 3, half 3, or even worse, like 2:45, you're about to run out of the door to collect the kids, and it's like, oh, I need to do five, and your head's just not in it. So breaking down your goals into the actions that you need to take, you can then think about, okay, when is my energy best placed to do that? And then that's when the planning comes in, and the structure. And I love a plan, and I love structure. And that's what I like to do with my clients, because some people like to plan and structure in very different ways. Some people like to have their day structured to within an inch of its life, and some people are like, no, give me a plan, I'm going to rebel, and I'm not going to do it. But there's always a way of creating a structure and creating a plan that fits with the individual, as long as you know how you work best. And that's how I really like to help and support people.
Yeah, and I think I had an example of that. So last year you helped me with my email list lift off challenge. So the first time I was doing it, and we'd met a couple of weeks before in person, like we'd known each other for a while. And I said this challenge was going up and I had so much stuff to do. And you said, well, let me help you by keeping you accountable to things. And I remember on one of the calls we had, you got me to list out all the things that in my head I was thinking I needed to do. And then you were like, well, how many of them do you actually need to do to make this challenge happen? And I was like, well, I need to do these ones. So you were like, right, well, when are you going to do them? And you got me to put them in the diary. So I was like, right, get them done. And then, these are obviously like nice to haves. And then the same with you saying, like with follow up with people after the challenge and things, or like, how many are you going to get into? When are you going to do them? And then at the end we reflected, and I was like, I felt like I'd done as much as I could with the time that I had. And I didn't get done all the things that I wanted to, but on reflection, I couldn't have actually done any more because I didn't have the time to do any more. And I think, again, I would have probably beaten myself up that I was like, I didn't do all of this, and this. But it's like, well, there was no way. It was an impossible set of things that I was trying to achieve because I was doing it by myself.
Absolutely.
And that's where I think then, on reflection, it's like, well, next time if I do this again, do I need to get help in? Or then because if I'm running the same thing again, a lot of the stuff that I was trying to create is already created. So, it's like you said, learning for next time as well. And how can you apply this next time you do it? And just that every time we had a call, breaking it down of like, well, do you really need to do that right now? I think you said that to me once. Do you really need to be doing this right now? Because sometimes we want to do what's the more fun things or the things we find easier, but it's like, is that actually going to be the thing that's going to make this challenge happen? And I was like, no, it's not. I'll go back and do this thing. And it ended up being, I had amazing feedback from the challenge. So in my head, maybe the things that I thought I needed to do, I didn't even need to do anyway. But just having that regular check-in along that whole process of keeping me aligned to what was the end goal was the challenge, and giving a great experience for everybody and launching the course at the end of it. And it was like keeping me on track to do those things was so helpful. And I think just then applying that to all the this time of year, the goals we have for the whole year, applying that to all of them, and like, what do we actually, like, break it down? What tasks do we actually need to do to achieve this goal? Do we need to then get help with it?
Yes.
Or is this something that has to happen, or you would just like it to be part of it?
They're great questions to ask yourself.
And giving us, making it, because at the end of the day, you just want people, when you're working with them, to just achieve their goals, don't you?
Absolutely, because I know the power in that. And the moment that you hit a goal and achieve a goal, it just gives you so much more motivation and momentum to move forward and achieve bigger and better things. And who doesn't want that?
Exactly. So what would you say, from the experience of working with people, is like the biggest thing that people get wrong? I mean, I think you've already highlighted what people get wrong when they think of accountability. But where do you feel that people like stumble the most when they are trying to achieve their goals?
Okay, so this is a potentially a controversial one. I don't like to-do lists. So I think there is a place for them, which I will come to. But exactly as you were just talking there, when we write to-do lists, and I think that they're great for clearing out your mind. And I think there's times where we carry too much in our head. I think it's great as a brain dumping exercise, but a to-do list isn't a plan. We shouldn't be managing our days on a to-do list for these reasons. When I look at clients' to-do lists, sometimes what I see on there is projects. And so when I say a project, I mean like create a sales page. Okay, so there is so much that goes into creating a sales page. You've got the copy, you've got the actually setting up of the tech, you've got all of the different things. But creating a sales page, you put that on a to-do list as a thing to do without thinking about all of the things that need to be done underneath it. You set yourself up for failure. So you start your day with this great big long list of things. And then at the end of the day, you may have ticked off 3, you've added 5, and you get to the end of the day and you're like that. Oh, well, I've not achieved anything today. Like, look at my to-do list. Like, all I've done is add more to it. Well, it wasn't realistic in the first place, because how were you ever going to do everything on that to-do list? It's not possible. So I like to-do lists to dump a brain dump, but it's the first part of a plan. And then the second part is, okay, how much time do each of these things gonna take me? And then quite quickly, after you've got down to like point number 4 and you've realized you already need 14 hours, you're like, oh, right, okay, there we go. How much time is it going to take? What energy do I need to bring to this? I need to be creative. Like, what energy do I need to bring to this so that I can then not get to that point on my to-do list and go, oh, right, okay, I need to create a sales page. Like, I don't even know what my name is right now, let alone. And then you try and do it because it's the next bit on your to-do list, and you're just getting frustrated with yourself just because it's the next thing on your to-do list. Or that's where you go, oh yeah, I'm skipping that. And then you find, and then that's when the procrastination comes, and you just every day you just do the easy bits, but then the bigger projects are still there the day after. So yes, it's the first stage. I do like a 10-minute to-do list or a 20-minute to-do list. So identify off that list 4 or 5 things that you can just go bang, 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 done. Because there is a beauty in crossing things off a to-do list and seeing a completed list, and that's when it works. But that is part of your day and part of the planning of your time. So yeah, I do not like to-do lists. It is not a plan. To-do list isn't planning. It's just a brain dump and a list of stuff that you need to do that puts on too much pressure.
I feel like I'm getting a little telling off there. But no, it's such a thinking about like my own to-do lists, which do seem to be never ending. The only thing I do that I use ClickUp for my to-do list, which is my like project management system, and you can set dates to it. So then
right, that's more of a plan.
Try and keep it that there isn't too many in one day, because then all I end up doing is just changing the day of it, like you said.
Yeah.
And then I then try and number them in the order of the importance.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I like about ClickUp is you can put subtasks under your main task.
Perfect.
Because like you said, sales page is the main kind of goal project, whatever it is. But like you said, underneath that, you've got to write the copy, you've got to source the pictures, you've got to make sure the tech works. There's probably some sort of online checkout related to that, so you've got to set that up. Any automations, and obviously I'm going all techie here, but you know, there's thank you pages and all that kind of stuff. Like, a sales page is not just one thing. But I suppose if you can start with your to-do list, like you said, that brain dump of these are all the things I got to do, but then go back and break it down into the tasks. And sometimes I find it really hard to assign a time to something. So rather than, like, would you say then in that case, instead of saying it's going to take me this amount of time. I'm going to allocate this amount of time and then move on. Like, how do you, because time for me, I always underestimate how long something's going to take. And therefore I then try and like, I'm like, oh, well, I just spend another 10 minutes finishing this. And then that's knocked into 10 minutes of the thing I was going to do next. And I end up behind. And
such a good question. And you're not alone in that. Everybody underestimates the time that it takes to do something. So in that instance, again, as I say, the to-do list is the first step in a plan. There's a couple of things that you can do. I love time audits. I think they're really important for a number of reasons. And essentially, you just write down every 15 minutes, you write down how you've spent your time. It can be quite confronting at times and a little bit scary, but it's a really great exercise to do because you can start to get a sense of, right, okay, that's how long roughly that takes me. And then that can inform your planning going forward. So that's one way of doing it, like learning from doing things previously. But another way is, again, what we tend to do is put things back to back to back in our calendar. And when we're creating the plan for our day and we're creating a plan for our week, or even a plan for a month, when we're clear on our goals and we're clear on the actions that we need to take on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, we can plan those into our calendar, into our planner. And one of the things that's really important is something that I call reactive time. Some people call it white space, but I call it reactive time. And so it's like that buffer in between that gives you either that space before and after to switch your brain as well. That's important sometimes, switching your brain from one task to another. But also, if it takes you longer, then you've got some of that reactive time afterwards, and you're not then going, oh God, I need to get it done, and you rush to complete it, or you're late to a call. So it's thinking about your day and being really realistic with your time. If you've got 7 things that take you 7 hours, don't put them in 7 hours back to back in your calendar. Again, it's that prioritization piece.
Yeah, I am so guilty of that.
But yeah. You're not alone. And the thing is, Nicola, we're not taught this stuff. And even anybody that's had a corporate career, I still find it incredible when I speak to managers. So I met up with a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago who is a senior manager. And one of the things that she said to me, that she found it absolutely astonishing that some of the managers in this new area that she's become responsible for have no idea how to manage their time. And I was like, well, who's taught them? We don't get taught this stuff. We go from school where we've got a timetable, and we go from one thing to another. We go to college and then we've got a timetable. Then we go to work, and normally when we start work, we're doing a job and somebody's managing our time for us. And then when we get put into a manager position, and then you're a manager, and it's like, okay, now off you go. Now you need to manage 10 people's time as well as your time. And I need you to do things for that. And I need you to do things for me. And then we just find ways of getting through the day without actually proactively managing our time and thinking about how we plan. So we don't know. We find ways that work for us. And it's like with anything, like I can imagine the amount of people that you must speak to, me being one of them. It's like, why on earth are you doing it that way? Because you're adding in 5 extra steps to the process. Like you do know that if you just press this button, it does this. And you're like, no. It's like, well, you don't know what you don't know. How do you know it? And if we're not taught it, and it's not something we learn, then we just get on with it. And when we're working on our own as solo business owners, and we think that actually it's my business, so I have to do everything myself, we just continue that. And the last thing that we want to do sometimes is go, you know what? I've absolutely no idea how to manage my time, because somehow, even though nobody's taught it, we think that everybody else knows how to do it.
Yes.
It baffles me.
Yeah, that is so true. Yeah, because it's something I say all the time. You don't know what you don't know. But I guess I've never applied it to time management because I guess I'm doing the thing that I say to my clients not to do is I'm just presuming that I should know how to do it.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. That's amazing. Thank you for that. And I think time management, I think if you can get that right, will just help you do so much more, even if you are doing less.
It's a
Because
game changer.
yeah, you can be more productive
Yep.
with the time that you allocate to things. And I'm very much one who loves the deadline. Like that's how my brain works. If I've got a deadline for something, I'll make it happen. So it's almost like giving yourself like mini deadlines throughout the day, isn't it? Because if you've only got this time to do it, but you've got to use it wisely, it's like, yeah. All brilliant advice. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So what would you say? You've obviously shared some amazing tips, but why is this so important? Like, how have you seen this changes people? Like from where, people that if they've worked with you for a longer period of time and stuff, how has it changed how their business has worked?
You know how you feel when you get to the end of the day and you're looking at your to-do list and you feel like you haven't achieved anything, and then you go and cook the tea and then something else comes into your mind, and then you're thinking about this and you think, oh, I need to do that, and it's asking Siri to set a reminder because there's something that you've forgotten about, and then you go to bed and you're just about to fall asleep, and then that thing pops into your head and it's like, oh, I've not done that. I needed to do that today. It frees up space in our mind. And as business owners, as entrepreneurs, as people that are coming up with ideas left, right, and centre, and that buzz that we get from delivering those ideas and that creativity, that can all be smashed down when our heads are just too full of things. And we can then start to dislike our business and dislike what we're doing. We essentially created the job that we escaped from corporate by prisoning ourselves with to-do lists and actions and being that critical boss of ourselves in our own mind. So it helps free up that space. It helps free up that headspace to be more creative, to do more of the fun things, to get some of that time back. That again, we started our business for more time and for freedom. Those business owners, similar to yourself, with young children that are doing it for time with their children, like you want to enjoy that time when you collect them from school or when they've come home from nursery. You want to enjoy that time and be fully present and fully focused with your kids in that moment. I know that's what I wanted, and I was really fortunate with my career. I had that in the evenings. So I don't want people to be having to think and pick up the laptop sort of halfway through, throwing 2 chips and a fish finger down their throat with the kids. I want people to have that space and have that time. And you can have that when you've got a plan, when you've got structure, when you know what you want to achieve, when you know how to achieve it. And it isn't as strict as doing all of these things and taking fun out of it either. It's about making sure that there is that reactive time, that space for those new ideas and exploration. And there's something with a lot of my clients, and you mentioned it when you were talking about your experience when I was supporting you. It's that, oh, okay, yeah, I have done enough. And it's such an amazing feeling to get to the end of the day and think, I've done enough today. That was a good day. Bring on tomorrow. And the same when you get to the end of a month. There's just something really special in being able to go, yeah, that's it. I've done enough. I'm enough. This is enough. I can cut off. I can enjoy the time that I've got. There's also something with feeling like we have to do everything ourselves and not necessarily thinking about the next part of our business. So somebody that I've been working with recently, when we started working together, they said, I think I need a VA. Like, okay. So looked at goals, looked at what needed to happen, looked at the actions, did all of the things that we've been talking about now. And what we recognised actually that at that point in time, a VA would have been useful, but we didn't know what for, because we hadn't recognised what tasks actually they wanted to delegate and what needed to be done by them and what they wanted to hold on to themselves. But what we recognised was what they really needed in that moment was a lead generator, because that was the biggest constraint and problem in the business at that time. And so it's having somebody else as well to ask you the questions and to challenge, to help you think about what is it that you need next. Because when we feel busy and when we feel like we're doing all of the things and everything's on us and it's one thing after another, we just think, I just need a VA that I can delegate things to. But actually, delegation again is a skill that we're not taught necessarily. Like, how do we delegate effectively? How do I let go of the things that I need to let go of? How do I identify what are the things that I want to let go of? Because we want to do the things in our business that's fun. And so if you bring a VA in and give your VA all of the things that you enjoyed, and then you're ended up doing all of the things that aren't fun, then there's a imbalance there as well. So lightening the load, clearing the mind, being able to be more present, feeling and being able to see and have the evidence that you've made progress, I think is the main thing, if that's answered the question.
No, definitely it has. And I think that's so true about getting in the right help, because there are, I see it a lot of times, slightly different, but can be linked to that, is people like sign up for tools and they're like, oh, it's not doing, I can't understand how this works. And I'm like, what do you actually want to do? Because is this even the right tool to do it? Just because this person's using it, like, look at what your goals are, what the project is you're doing. Does that tool actually fulfill that? Because if it doesn't, then it's not the right one. Whether this person and that person has it, it doesn't matter. So like we were saying, just because other people may have a VA or a social media manager or whatever, but if that ends up being the thing you enjoy the most, but like you said, lead generation or sales conversations or whatever it is may be, is the thing that actually you need, or an accountant to do that bit, it might be that that's a better way of outsourcing your time than just going down what you feel like everybody else is doing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a key thing. Because when we're trying to do it ourselves, then we're scrolling and we're consuming and we're seeing other people, then we're comparing and think, oh, okay, that's made their lives easier. And it might have done, or it might not have done, because who knows. But actually, what is it that you need at that point in time? And exactly like the to-do list, you may think that you've got 1,001 admin actions that need to be done, but actually when you write them down, there's 3 of them and they take you 10 minutes a day. It's just you don't like doing them. Okay, so if you don't like doing them, great, then outsource it. But if it takes 10 minutes a day, do you need to outsource it at this point in time, based on what exactly, like you said, what's your goal? And if your goal is increasing your email list, for example, then maybe it is lead gen. You pay somebody to support you with your lead gen, and you suck up those 10 minutes to do those tasks that you don't like, rather than just outsourcing something and then thinking, well, nothing's changed, and then we get frustrated and then we blame ourselves and think we've made bad decisions, and then the cycle continues. You don't have to do it on your own.
I think it's as solo business owners, you do think you do have to do things yourself, and then it's that thought of getting someone in to help and making sure it's the right person. But actually, it's not just about the right person, is it? It's about the right tasks. Because like you said, if they're not supporting you in the right way, then it's not going to free up your time. Like, I have got an amazing VA. Her name's Lizzie Harwood. She now does all my membership emails. That's the main thing she looks after. She uploads all the replays for me. And that was something that I was literally doing last minute because I would forget to do it, and I wanted there to be that regular support, that I knew that they were all going out when they needed to go out. And now I know she just handles that. And the replays, they just go there. And then I get an email. I'm like, oh, there we go. The replay's been done, and it's just things like that I now know I just have to be there for the calls.
Yep.
and the rest of it gets taken care of.
Perfect.
And it was also looking at the priority. I now know that's not taking up my time. I could be actually doing more things with. So it's like you said, evaluating as well what your goals for your business, how are you going to make those happen, where do you need to put your focus the most.
Absolutely, we put ourselves last all the time.
Exactly. So I can't have you on the This Mum Loves Tech podcast without talking a little bit about tech. I know it's not your most favorite subject, but is there one tool in particular that you would say helps with your accountability, your planning? Is there anything that you use that helps you out?
My calendar is the best tool that I have in terms of structure. So every Sunday, and I like electronically, it needs to be done, and that's something that you help me with, so that it's a lot easier for people to book it into my calendar. But I love to be able to see my day, and so each Sunday I will sit down and I will map it into a paper document. I know, old school, I won't tell you my age, but instead I've got a 19-year-old son, and you can guess it probably. But that then allows me to see, right, okay, what's going on. I think about what are the priorities, what do I need to achieve this week, how am I going to make that happen, where have I got that space, and really just taking that structure and that plan to the next level, so that I don't just start my day and go, right, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to start with today? Oh, let's just pick that. And then you get to the end of the week and it's like, I've not really moved forward. How can I take focused, intentional, aligned action this week, each day, that's going to move me towards achieving those goals?
Amazing. So you do have a digital one and a paper one, did you say?
Yeah, the digital one obviously is necessary for one-to-ones, and so they're all in the calendar. I will look at my digital calendar, and I will then write that down, because then that just gives me a really good visual of like where my time is and how much time I've got in between. And then sometimes I look at it and I think, let's take your own advice. You're back to back there for 3 hours. When do you think you're supposed to have some lunch? And then it just helps you manage that as well sometimes, and think, right, okay, well, that needs to change, or I need to look at my calendar and I need to block out time or change it in my Tidycal. Love Tidycal. Like, change it in my Tidycal so that it automatically gives me 15 minutes or 30 minutes between meetings, so that I'm controlling them my time. Because I think we too often give away our time. We let other people control our time. Our time is ours, and it's special, and we should protect it in the way that we want to. So Tidycal and my paper calendar, even though that's not tech, but Tidycal is the tech side.
I'll let you off. There's a bit of tech in there.
Yeah, there is. And also, since you supported me with Google Workspace, it's been incredible actually for me, having my Toni Addinall email address for my Google Workspace, because I was making things too difficult for myself in terms of sharing documents with clients, because I didn't want it coming from my Gmail email. And so since you've supported me with that, that's sort of been a game changer in terms of mindset. And so many things come down to mindset. And so I'd be finding complicated ways of sending documents, whereas now I create them a Google folder and then give them shared access to it. Simple.
Done.
So thank you so much for that.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm glad that's all working out. That is what I like to hear. So just want to say a huge thank you, because it's been brilliant. I have learned a lot for sure. So where's the best place for people to find out more about you? And is there anything that they could like get started with that you've got available?
Yeah, so predominantly on Instagram. You'll find me on Facebook as well, but predominantly on Instagram, at Toni Addinall Strategist. And in terms of something that would be useful, I have a download available called the CARE framework, which is clarity, action, review, and evolve. And at the end of January, or going into sort of the final week of January, that there is some questions in there that you can ask yourself at the review section to think about what have you achieved so far this month, what's worked well, what do you need to do differently, and how you can take that into February. So that would be a great tool to help with that reflection, which quite often we can struggle to do because we just sit down and then just think about all of the things that haven't gone well. And then we think this is too uncomfortable, I'm not going to do it, and go make a cup of tea. But there's some questions in there to help you think, and then you can follow that through. And the care template is based on 90 days. And at the end of each of the 30-day period, you've got a longer review process as well.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Where can people find that?
There is a link in my Instagram, or I can give you a link to put in the show notes.
Excellent. Yeah, so the link for that will be in the show notes, or please do and connect with Toni on Instagram, because as you can see from this episode or hear from this episode, she's got lots of amazing advice to share. And I hope to see you all on another episode of This Mum Loves Tech.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of This Mum Loves Tech. If you're ready to save time and cut through the overwhelm when it comes to the tech and the tools your business really needs, don't forget to grab my free time-saving tech checklist. It's a super simple checklist that shows you what tools are, I believe, essential for your business, what can wait, and what you may have signed up to that you're not actually using. Download your copy at thismumlovestech.co.uk/checklist and start making the tech work for you. You can also find the link in the show notes below, and I'll see you in the next episode.